Do you know that scene in Reservoir Dogs where Mr. Blonde, I think it's Mr. Blonde, he takes the cop's ear off and, well, he's dancing to that song. That song, Stuck in the Middle with You, I am addicted to the song. Not addicted, but I'm fixated on the song. I'm listening to it like 5 times a day. So you can see how fixated I am on this song and other songs from Quentin Tarantino's films and on his work. So I write books. I have talked about it, I think. I write books, many books, but I've never published any of them. And I have stopped writing them a while ago because I felt they were awful. I felt like they were really not what I wanted them to be. The thing is, I was very stuck to a specific kind of book that I wanted people to read and not the book that I wanted to write. And then a couple of days ago, I was on YouTube and a Quentin Tarantino interview was suggested to me and I watched it, and he was talking about his creation, not creation methods, but how his creative thoughts work, kind of like this. And it made me want to watch more of him, you know, and I started to watch more of him, more interviews of him, and I felt like I wanted to watch his movies again. The first time I ever heard of him was when Inglourious Basterds came out, and I was about 12. And I watched it, and I loved it. I simply loved it. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the scene, how they were, the angles, you know, of the camera. I loved how the story was told. I loved the dialogues because it's his specialty. And I loved everything about the movie. And when I thought about a very good director when I was 12, I was like, maybe it's something way too much for me because I'm just 12. But I could understand everything, so I felt like, well, it's actually simple. So it doesn't need to be very difficult to be good. And I remember that back then, in my head, Quentin was a genius because, spoiler alert, so you know, he kills Hitler. And I thought that was genius. But thinking about it now, he wasn't a genius because of that. He was just bold. Not that he's not intelligent, he's actually very intelligent, so he could get to where he is right now. But I don't think he could be a genius just because of that, just because of killing Hitler, because he kind of only killed Hitler because of all the conditions around it, all the environment at the time when it was released. He had a name in the industry, he was famous for that. So if he was a random guy who was starting to make movies and stuff, he wouldn't probably be able to kill Hitler because people would think, no, this is just, people wouldn't like to watch it because it's just a lie. So I don't know. That's what I think. What makes a genius, I believe, is the environment and a lot of things, not only the person's intelligence. But I think that it's not enough to be intelligent. I think that because of him being bold enough and confident enough to do this, to show the world his creation, his thoughts and ideas, because of that, he could get to where he is right now. You know, he could show what he thinks and not care about what people expect him to create, and create exactly what he really wants to create. And if you're intelligent, like Quentin, for example, and you're not bold or confident enough, you're probably not gonna get to the point where he is. Of course, it was not just that, but people will not see the good ideas that you have. So after that, after Inglourious Basterds, it was about 14, 15 when I watched Pulp Fiction. And I saw like I saw the dance scene on TV and I heard the song and I knew the song because I liked Chuck Berry, because I knew Chuck Berry from Back to the Future, and I knew the song and I was like, oh, that's so cool, like Uma Thurman and John Travolta, they're dancing, what's that? And I saw Pulp Fiction and I was like, oh, that's Quentin Tarantino's film, so I want to watch it. So I watched it from the beginning and I really liked it. Again, the soundtrack is amazing. Actually, I liked Pulp Fiction's soundtrack more than Inglourious Basterds, because Inglourious Basterds has fewer songs and more of theme songs, things like that. And I liked the story, how it was told. I know that the editor is different. There's a baby crying. I know the editor is different from the beginning of the first Quentin Tarantino's films and the last ones, the latter ones. Anyways, the latest ones. And I know that it makes a lot of difference because the whole movie is not just his, is part of a team, and a team that made it become what it really is. But I could see like how he was very into dialogues and very realistic dialogues, and I really liked it, and how he could put comedy on something so serious, for example. Then I watched Reservoir Dogs. I didn't think that with so little he could do such a good job, and I think that Reservoir Dogs is one of my favorite films of Tarantino. Maybe because the story is very simple and it could be told only 1 hour and a half, and in a very, not summarized way, but in a very objective way, and it was still very slow at the same time, and still had a lot of things to go deep into, for example, the personalities of the characters.
Have a cigarette.
I quit.
All right.
Why, you got one?
I really like this too. And the soundtrack. I remember that part of Hooked on a Feeling on the car, and it's just a take of the sky and the car and the song in the background. But it still makes kind of a difference. It's a way of telling a story too. Then I watched Kill Bill and I loved it too.
Bill, it's your baby.
I found out that I knew many songs from that film, and I knew many references from that film, and I liked how feminine characters were portrayed there, because at that time we didn't used to see action films with women that weren't like sexualizing women, so I liked that too. Then I watched The Hateful Eight. And I felt like it was my least favorite because it was very, very, very slow for me, and I liked it. I liked the scenario, the environment.
Got room for one more?
But I don't know. I think I was expecting more because of Inglourious Basterds. It was his previous film. It was the film before this one. No, it wasn't. The Hateful Eight was after Django. Oh yes, I have watched Django too. So Django was after Pulp Fiction and I loved it. It was 3 hours and I could only feel it because in the movies I was feeling my bladder and I needed to go to the bathroom. But just because of that, because I couldn't feel the 3 hours, it was enjoyable during the whole film. There's also the aesthetic of Django, how it's a little bit Western, but it's not.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
I don't know. It's really nice. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came, and it was an experience. Because before that, just before that, I had read Charles Manson's biography. In the biography, it talks about his life, about the family of Charles Manson, and about the case involving Sharon Tate and her three friends. If you don't know, Sharon Tate was killed by the family. To watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you have to know the story. And I remember that when I watched it, in the end of the film, people were leaving the room saying like, so that's it? I don't get it, it's not good. But it's just because they don't know the story and how deep it actually was. Not saying that you're not good enough to understand, not that. It's just that you have to know the story so it will make sense to you and you will get the best of the experience of watching this film. The film is very good at creating the environment of late 60s.
Put these on. Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
And how like Sharon Tate was, like how she was seen by others and how she acted, and there are parts where the real Sharon Tate shows up and in the films where she was. And it was really beautiful how Quentin showed her life. From the half of the film to the end, the narrator kind of tells every single step near the latest hours of Sharon and her friends, and it kind of creates tension because you don't know what's coming because of Quentin's vision, but you know what's coming because you know that that tragedy happens. So the way that he ends this film, the part of the tragedy, is just so good. And after that, it's really like I laughed a lot. It was really funny. And after that, like it was that scene with Sharon and that music, and it all made me sob. Like I was sobbing because I was like, she didn't deserve this. The real Sharon didn't deserve what happened. Not her, but also her friends. I think probably Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the most humane film that I could see from Quentin Tarantino. So I'm just talking about these films because I am reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the novel, and I am seeing how Quentin is not that genius that everybody says he is, because I don't believe in genius first, but he's very straightforward. He doesn't create things that people will not understand. He just focuses on getting into the depth of characters and stories and how they develop. So I like that in this book, and he's not afraid of being different from the film because he created the film. He can do whatever he wants. So he decided to, what's the name in Portuguese or in English? Like he decided to dive into the story that he wanted to tell that he couldn't tell in the movie. He wanted like to explore different ideas. So he decided to do that with the book. And we could know more about the characters in the book. And for example, Cliff Booth, that is played. Brad Pitt is Cliff Booth in the film. He is much more interesting in the book, and it's very nice to see how he makes a character like that is not actually anything that is very, not important, but anything like attractive or interesting, to a character that is really has like layers, and you can get a lot, like much more from them. So I really like that. And as I said, it's simple and it's bold. There is a dog crying. It's my neighbor's dog. He's bold and he doesn't care about what other people will feel because he wants to do it. And that's something about Quentin's personality, because he's a cinephile and he wants to take the references. Oh, that dog. This dog is not being tortured. He's probably just in a cage. He's very dramatic. I'm saying he, but it's maybe a she, I don't know. So yeah, Quentin is a cinephile, and he is a cinephile. Cinephile? Well, he likes movies and he takes references from everywhere and he creates his own thing based on of what he has seen before and what is more like him, you know, like his taste. And I think that That's the thing. You have to do what you want to do before anything. Maybe you're writing a book because you need to sell and you work with that. Okay, it's understandable, but still you have to try to do what you want to do, because in the end of the day, it's art. And art is something very personal, something that characterizes experiences and the way we live and the way we see things. And to be unique and not generic, you have to focus on that. Focus on what you really want to write. So back to my writing. I was writing a book that I started to write when I was 12, and I was a really good writer when I was 12. I believe I was a better writer when I was 12 than I am right now, but that's another thing that I can talk about later. But basically, I had that idea that was based on the references that I had, which were not much because I was very young, and I was really like, I really want to make this happen. I want to make this story really something. So I decided to write the book. And I decided to write the book now because I wanted to make that idea come true. Not come true, but like become a story. Because I wanted to give it to my 12-year-old self. And I was really thinking about what my 12-year-old self would like to read. And I was so stuck on that I was really not feeling like if my 12-year-old self would like, but also what other people would like based on what I saw that people liked to read about. And what people like to read about is not necessarily what I like to read about. So it's not, I shouldn't just think about my 12-year-old self or what people would like, but also what my today self would like. Seeing Quentin Tarantino's films and seeing how confident he is to just do whatever he wants to do, whether it's a good idea or not, it becomes a good idea because it's bold, and the way he develops it makes this idea good. So I decided to do whatever I want to do, because I was like, maybe I don't want to write this story that I was, the idea from when I was 12 years old. Maybe I want to write another story, and there are other ideas that I have that I saved in a file, and maybe I should write exactly, as I said, what I want. I decided to start a new book from a new idea that I had thought like maybe a couple weeks ago, and I was really hyped up about it, and I felt that it was much more me, because the other one I was writing to others. So this other one that I started to write when I was 12, I will probably read it all because I've finished it, but it's a series, and I will read it all and I will see if I can change, not if I can change, I will change to a language that is more like me, because I felt like the narrator, why do I say he? It's not he. The narrator, they are very, they don't get involved in the story. They're very, like, really a third person. It's just telling you things without any kind of involvement. And I wanted to have it like more of an involvement, because maybe it would give more of a thing to the story, more of a, I don't know the word. In Portuguese, I would say molho to the story. So it would give more molho to the story. More like, it would be make more interesting, make it more relatable, make it more like you can talk to the narrator, he's talking to you, like things like that. I'm not saying it to be, what's the word? I'm not very good at words today. I don't want to say these things to say that I'm going to make a great story. No, I'm going to make what I want to do. And I know that when I do, this dog, when I write what I want to write, I know it will be better than what I have written these past months, this last year. Probably it's not going to be like the greatest thing in the world, but it's going to be good. in my opinion, and that's the only thing that matters, because I am not aiming to get money from that, because, you know, I'm writing in Portuguese and Brazil doesn't read much. That's sad, but yeah, maybe one day I will translate it to English, so I'll have to study a lot to do that. So the thing is, Quentin Tarantino made me want to write when I want to write, because I admire his boldness. Does this word exist, boldness? If it doesn't, it does not. That's what I wanted to say. I also wanted to add that I'm going to make more videos to my accounts on Instagram and TikTok, and also I will try to make, I will not try, I will do, I will make another YouTube channel to focus on English. This one, it's in English, but it's not focused on the English language. So I want the other one to focus on English and other languages, how I learned them, helping people learn English, probably Portuguese speakers. I like this idea. I will try to do that and see how it goes. Okay, bye.